Hello, my friends. It has been a minute since I've dropped a new podcast episode on the Curated Beauty podcast, and I want to start today with a little honesty about where I've been. I have been stretched too thin, and something had to give for a little while at least, and it was the podcast. I never want to create content out of just pressure or unless I really have something to bring to you and something to say. I want it to come from purpose and from clarity and alignment. So I hit the pause button and I allowed myself the space to pull back in order to come back better. And today is that moment. Lately, I've been reflecting on this framework that I love, The 5 Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom. This is a book that came out, is on the New York Times bestsellers list. And really when he breaks down the 5 different types of wealth, it's financial, social, mental, and time. And when I check in with myself, I typically score really high on most of them, specifically mental. And so I look at my financials like solid, I think that time I'm trying to manage, but as my time started to get away from me, especially being a busy CEO and a mom and just dealing with all the things of life, physical wealth, those bells started to go off and the alarms were kind of sounding. I was really exhausted. I wasn't really sleeping well. I was running at a pace that really was not sustainable. And especially for the life that I want to live. And when you are in aesthetics and wellness and you're preaching how to be the best version of yourself and how to not only live longer, but stronger, that can feel super misaligned because you know what your body needs, but knowing and doing in a season of intensity and like that running season, those are 2 very different things. This past quarter has been one of the most transformative quarters we've had in the business. We went all in on EOS, which is the entrepreneurial operating system. If you ever need to find an EOS implementer yourself, I have an amazing referral, but you could always start by reading the book Traction by Gino Wickman, which really gives you an idea about what EOS is. But it has really helped us to tackle some ginormous rocks in our company history. We rebuilt our lead generation process, where if someone fills out a quiz or calls or emails or signs up for our newsletter, all of that's funneling through to a channel. Everything's stacked. And so that we're able to get back to you in the way that you want to be contacted about what you want to be contacted about. We also hired a new core values first approach with a hiring firm so that we could kind of find those unicorns that we're looking for to expand our team and to continue to build out the seats in our company. We evaluated and integrated a new website and a new third-party shipping to really elevate our e-commerce. We have also been working on a lot of compliance things in terms of regenerative medicine, amongst many others. It's just been a deep, gritty, visionary work and integration of all of those things. But it has required me to reset the internal systems in my internal system. So I had to make space. I got a little more still. I had to continue with all of these initiatives and projects because I committed to them, but I've invested in myself at a deeper level, and I know what I need to move off of my plate to continue to reach my goals. When you're really, really clear about what your goals are, it's a lot easier to see the obstacles and the hurdles that you are either allowing to be in the space or you frankly could be putting in the space. So I am really committed to moving forward in a way that allows me to actually live consistently with what I'm saying that I want and where I want to go. So that's where today's episode begins. I do want to talk about this past weekend and my experience with Alt Experience, which is a beautiful, intimate conference hosted by Kaeli Lindholm and her entire team. She has been my personal business coach as I've climbed, and she is someone who's been a grounding force for me during the chaos of rapid growth. I teamed up with Kaeli and her coaching team in a time where my business was growing so fast, but I had no idea how to control any facet of it. It was not a clean growth at all. My culture was breaking. There were people that I thought I trusted that I realized were totally betraying me. And I realized that I wasn't the kind of leader that really was required to carry the vision that I had in my heart. And truthfully, I wasn't even clear about what that vision was anymore. So when Kaeli invited me into her coaching group, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, you want me to take 2 full hours out of my week when I could be injecting, generating revenue, checking off my to-do list, working on myself, maybe even checking my email. And I will admit it felt really unnatural at first, but I slowly surrendered to that process and I showed up not just for the vision and the business strategies, but for me and for my team and ultimately for my patients. And what I learned inside that coaching container had nothing to do with filler or lasers. It was about resilience, emotional regulation, rooted leadership, having boundaries, building confidence. And it was about becoming the woman who could hold a bigger vision and still find calm in the storm. I really continue to say that what I'm doing actually never gets easier, even with all this coaching. You just show up differently and you're able to handle it all with a lot more grace with all of those things that I mentioned that I've gained. So once I accepted that it was never going to get easier, but that I could get better at navigating the hard, everything really, truly began to shift. And from that clarity has come a lot of beauty in my business, and something that I have brought on at Beauty Culture and something that I'm going to be able to scale in our industry, and something that I would consider something that Kaeli teaches, my proprietary method of how have I integrated wellness into aesthetics. I want to take a pause and talk a little bit about that. Considering adding wellness into your aesthetics practice isn't just like a me thing, it's a movement. The global wellness industry has exploded and it's only accelerating. And according to the McKinsey report, the wellness market is now worth over 1.5 trillion globally and over 480 billion just in the US. And it's growing at a rate of about 10 to 15% each year. People are investing in their health. They're investing in their bodies. They're investing in their energy, and they're doing it through more integrative approaches. And in the aesthetics space, we're seeing a shift too. Over 60% of aesthetics practices in the US are either already offering or actively planning to add wellness, things like hormone optimization, weight loss, gut support, maybe thinking about some regenerative therapies. So this will happen. You'll see a huge shift in this in the next 12 to 24 months. Why? Patients are asking for more. They want to go truly beyond just the syringe. And that's exactly why the Wellness Aesthetic Fusion method was born, which is our proprietary method of giving you the blueprint of integrating wellness into aesthetics seamlessly. This isn't to chase a trend or because you have FOMO that your local competition is offering wellness and you're not. But this is rather an answer to a need that I've seen in my chair for years. And I'll share with you a story. One night when I had just opened Beauty Culture in 2019, I had 2 babies. They were 18 months apart. And we had bathed them and wrestled them into their little organic cotton jammies and gotten them to bed. And I remember just laying on the floor of the bathroom between their Jack and Jill bedrooms, just so exhausted, so drained of energy, so frustrated with my brain fog through the day, with, still holding on to like 5 to 10 pounds of weight that I just couldn't shake no matter how much I worked out and felt like I ate healthy. I've always been really passionate about health and wellness, and I just felt like for the input that I had on doing all the things, I just did not feel optimized. And I was scrolling through Instagram, like just doom scrolling, and you're just so tired and you're like, eventually my head's going to hit the pillow tonight. And there was an OBGYN talking about how a lot of women, she was talking on her stories, how a lot of women come in and they are complaining of all the same things that I was thinking, like the energy, the brain fog, the weight gain, the loss of libido. And I was like, oh my gosh, sitting on the edge of my seat, like, tell me that I need to come in for an appointment to check my hormones. And she said that a lot of women are like, please check my hormones, tell me what's going on with me. And she was like, what's the point? She's like, it's multifactorial, and take a hard look in the mirror because you're raising little kids. And of course, you're going to be exhausted, which is true to a degree. but I have never felt so seen and then so dismissed in the very next breath. So I went on a journey. I was like, this can't be all that there is. So I started to balance my hormones, detox my body, heal my gut, do all these things. And I was seeing amazing improvements. And, after you bring all of these things on and you adopt them and ingrain them into your life, a lot of times they become second nature and you forget how much you've actually learned. And so as I sat across from woman after woman in my chair who looked amazing because of the treatments that we did, but really felt off, women who were complaining about their energy, their libido, their metabolism, just their joy, their sleep habits, I started to think, what if this is just the beginning, this aesthetics thing? What if I could offer them more comprehension, more longevity? So I did that with my amazing team. And now we have built a method that speaks to both. And I'm finally so excited to bring that to the world. So let me be super clear. The Wellness Aesthetic Fusion Method isn't a hormone certification course. It's not a clinical deep dive into lab interpretation or prescribing protocols, though we absolutely share all of our vetted resources and training that we did to get our certifications. But what is the Wellness Aesthetic Fusion Method? It's the hard stuff. It's the do this, not that guide that I wish that I would have had when I started integrating wellness into my aesthetics practice. It's the blueprint that helps you avoid burnout and chaos and brand confusion and provider and patient overwhelm that happens when you just try to bolt on wellness like it's an afterthought. It's really the how you build something with like true cohesion, how you integrate really intentionally, how you create the elite patient journey that brings beauty and the biology together without feeling like two separate businesses under one roof. It gives you an infrastructure, the scripting, the sequencing, the positioning, and the mindset required to actually do this well as a provider and a business owner. And at its core, Wellness Aesthetic Fusion Method is built around a few key pillars. So when we look at what this blueprint really addresses, it starts with foundations. So it's really a 3-step tiered program where tier 1 is the foundations. This is where it all starts. You can kind of learn the core pillars of the Wellness Aesthetic Fusion Method and how to think differently about care, how to create internal alignment with your business, and how to build a rock solid foundation before you just launch single services. It's a mindset, it's getting clear on the vision, it's the why behind your wellness integration strategy, and it ensures that you're not just adding these services, but you're creating a method with clarity. That is something that we house on demand, and we will list the link for how to purchase that. We also offer 2 other tiers. So the second one is called the Wellness Accelerator. And this tier is going to give you the entire pre-built framework to actually bring wellness into your practice. It's great to go to these trainings, but how do you actually bring it home and integrate it? So included in this is pre-built wellness framework, sample outcome-based programs like BHRT, gut detox, peptide weight loss, IV therapy, just really ready to implement with your clinical team. So you get the SOPs, there's standard operating procedures giving you step-by-step guides to launch and manage wellness services with consistency and professionalism. You get essential legal and compliance checklists, sample consent forms, lab requisition templates, documentation to ensure that you're protected and compliant. Also, I do teach my elite patient journey framework, which is really that plug and play consultation process that merges wellness and aesthetics really seamlessly and increases those conversion rates. I have a lot of messages when people see the folders that we build after a consultation with a patient. They're like, can I have those? This is something where we have editable documents that you can download, edit to match your practice's needs, and then be able to print them and utilize them. And not only do you have the resources, but you know how to ask those psychological interviewing questions to really dig into, is your patient just here for Botox, or would they potentially also be interested to the energy solutions or the weight loss solutions or the hormone balancing solutions that you offer? We also have a team building and a hiring guide. We talk about how to structure your wellness team, how to really get clear and define those clinical and support roles, and how to help you hire with confidence. And we talk about a marketing playbook of strategies, how to cross-sell the wellness services to your existing patients that already know and trust you, and also how to attract a new audience for kind of those functional medicine causes that you are treating. We talk about strategic partnerships, recurring revenue models, how to build those sustainable programs and craft memberships, increase that lifetime value through continuity of care. And we give you expert resource guides of where we got our training exactly so that you or your clinical providers can go deeper into advanced modalities with trusted experts. And then tier 3 is really the immersive experience of the Elite Wellness Mastermind. So this is essentially everything in tier 2 plus deep mentorship, community, and real-time learning. So we have, in addition to all of that in tier 2, a 1 full day, 8 hours of shadowing experience where you'll come spend a day inside our practice. You'll see how we run BHRT and peptides and gut health and IV therapy and weight loss right alongside the injectables and the lasers. So this is where the theory becomes real. And you can see our proven process. And then we have monthly community coaching calls where we have access to these for a whole year. And this is live group coaching with me and expert guests where we'll break down trending topics, troubleshoot challenges, and share what's working in the field. And then you'll also have access to a private peer-to-peer chat group for a year where this is a curated space where you can ask questions, share wins, get real-time support from each other that are walking on the same path. And so this is all about refinement and connection and really implementing, because no one should build something this big alone. So this is my way of bringing something to the market that doesn't exist. I can't tell you how many DMs, emails, text messages I get from people saying, looks like wellness is going really well for you, which it is. How can I implement this too? What did you do? And I had a lot of clunky to-dos. I did not implement this with ease. We had some big hurdles and obstacles along the way. And so that's why I created this, because there was no blueprint that existed. And I'm big into making things that don't already exist so that it can make it easier for the rest of the community. So I would say that whether you're an aesthetic provider or a clinic owner or a leader just ready to expand your reach, the Wellness Aesthetic Fusion method was really created to help you step into this next era with clarity, confidence, and proven strategy after you've really decided that this is aligned with your practice. This is the blueprint that really bridges the gap, and I'm so honored to finally share it with you. So in the show notes, you'll see some links for being able to purchase those tiers. I think that it's really helpful to watch tier 1 foundations and download the PDF that's available to really work through a lot of the concepts. And then after you finish tier 1, which is promotionally discounted for the launch, I would then consider either tier 2 or tier 3 if this seems like something that you're interested in. And again, I explained the differences, but tier 1 will apply to either tier that you choose. So that is my recommendation. Everything has launch pricing. If you have any questions, please reach out to us via DM on Instagram or by email, which I'll also put in the show notes. I'm so excited for all of you to be on this journey, to have the interest in wellness, and I cannot wait to see what comes of our industry from bringing this method to life.